Immer noch sturzbetrunken.
God bless. Greetings to you, friend.
Good health to you, sir. I'm Godwin, a friend of that lad you arrived with, Henry. We don't know each other.
Baron Vauquelin Brabant, Chevalier d'Arezzo. The last of my line. I am a warrior, a traveler, a strategist, and also, à ma manière, a poet.
My word. Isn't that exhausting?
Mais non! And I'm glad to meet a new friend.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Baron. I knew right away we'd hit it off. How did you end up imprisoned in Malashov?
Ah, c'est une histoire compliquée. It was after I heroically led the defense of Gothenburg, and only lost it narrowly by an unfortunate turn of events.
That needs some explanation. What unfortunate turn of events?
Oh, misère. It is clear you have never been to war.
You're quite mistaken, Monsieur Baron. I have.
Ah, je suis désolé. This Bohemia is a strange land. I have seen farmhands, children, and even women fighting. But the clergy? Sainte Mère, do tell me about it. No doubt you fought on the side of truth and honor.
My last big battle was in Kosovo.
I've heard of this battle. Many great men fell there.
Aye. And it was there I decided it was nothing for me. So I settled down in the presbytery in Ujits.
Then, what are you doing here, at a meeting of opponents of the crown?
The Lord moves in mysterious ways. You say you're a poet? How about a verse or two to amuse us?
Jamais. Is poetry nothing but a fuss to you? Is a poet a gesture for amusement? I think not. To recite, I require the proper mood. And besides, few here would understand me.
Okay.
Where have you been on your travels? Have you seen the ocean?
But of course! I was born by the sea. If you are interested in my greatest journeys, then I have traveled with a merchant caravan all the way to the Ottoman Empire. And if you are interested in my greatest deed, then that was perhaps saving the life of the King of France.
And you wouldn't by any chance know the Pope, personally?
Which one do you mean? I spoke briefly with Boniface IX when I was sojourning in Rome. A pleasant fellow.
How come almost nobody here knows you?
I am operating, as they say. Incognito. My great benefit is my strong connection with the French court. There, everyone knows my name. Here in Bohemia, I'm still building my reputation, slowly, but surely.
Okay.
True enough. I need to pay the tithe and give something to the church for my father's requiem mass.
Isn't it a bit early for that? It's ages till St. Winter's last day. They don't collect tithes before that.
the smell of it. Don't tell me it's all soft. I ain't. I'll have a jug of wine.
And with you. Good day to you.
You're proper hammer. May I have a word with you, sir?
You? Anytime. With you, at least, there's some sensible conversation. Unlike this pack of conceited upstarts.
Have you got something against the Kuttenberg nobles?
Their forefathers lived up to their ears in dung. But thanks to the royal mines, they were born with silver spoons up their asses. And they think that can turn their blood blue.
But surely they're not all like that. And they are our allies.
Allies or not, someone ought to show them their place.
Young Lord Capon is finally free again. Let's hope he'll take better care of himself now.
He got a harsh lesson. But at least he might remember to lay off that tomfoolery of his for a while. But if not, war will make a man of him soon enough.
Do you think there's really going to be a war? I mean a proper one, not just sitting around and talking about it.
I sincerely hope so. Whoever sits around risks nothing. It's time to get off our asses and take action.
Ich habe das Gefühl, der Typ ist irgendwie ein bisschen komisch gestrickt. Irgendwie falsche Prioritäten.
What do you think about Jobst?
Are you testing me? Jobst called this assembly and he wants things to turn out well. We have to trust him.
No.
To turn out well for whose benefit, though? Some are up to their elbows in silver and blood, so others can live in freedom.
Better make sure you're among the latter, then. And in the meanwhile, help the former to keep their losses to a minimum.
Godwin, you wouldn't be avoiding me. We didn't have much time for conversation on the way here. Let's rectify that.
With pleasure, sir. As it happens, there's something I'd like to ask you. What are you expecting from today's gathering, my lord?
Well, I have no great expectations. But, all going well, we may be able to establish some joint steps towards the future. As long as we proceed without prior agreement and mutual support, we will be very unlikely to achieve any progress.
I couldn't help but notice your son has a bit of a talent for getting into trouble.
To put it mildly, but not to do him an injustice, knowing young Lord Capon, he undoubtedly contributed to that more than a little. Although, if they didn't pull each other out of trouble, God knows where they'd be now.
Wise words. Still, Henry's come a long way on a thorny path. I trust you're rightfully proud of him.
You know, I am. And Martin would also be glad, even though Henry chose a different path than he.
May God grant him eternal rest. Where did you leave Sir Divish? Surely he's not too old to miss out on such an event.
Haven't you heard? Lady Stephanie is with child. No one even imagined Divish would produce an heir at his age.
Oh,
As they say, doesn't matter who kneaded the dough, as long as there's a pie in the oven.
Godwin,
Well, it could be a miracle. Praise the Lord!
God be with you, my friend.
okay. Und von meinem Vater ist hier nichts zu sehen.
Such rare guests. One wouldn't expect to find among Christians representatives of your community. I'm Godwin. My greetings to you.
Peace be with you. Neither would one expect a priest here. And yet,
How do you know I'm a priest?
it's not difficult to tell. After all, we have much in common. And we are both a little on unfamiliar ground here. I'm Yehuda, leader of the rabbinical court in the sacred community of Gutenberg. And this is Samuel, my aide.
Who would rather not be here at all? Why did we have to come here, Sadie? Can you not see everyone is staring at us?
Because we all need to help each other in this time of need. And why would they not stare when you are frowning so?
Are you here to arrange some trade?
We have more serious matters to attend to here than gaining a few groschen. The situation in the town and the kingdom is unsustainable. The whole land is on the brink of destruction. You have men and weapons. We have the means to sustain them.
Why are you telling this to a Koimer? You wanted to deliver what we brought to the Margrave and quickly leave.
Everything in good time, Samuel. We have just arrived, after all.
Did you come to lend money to the lords?
Not to lend, but to give. Help given to the needy is repaid only by God.
You don't even know if you can trust them. With that money, we could have paid mercenaries ourselves.
You remind me of my young friend Henry. He's a bit of a hothead too.
Henry? That messenger of Radzik Copula?
You know each other. You're both around the same age.
That would be him. We did not get off to a very good start.
I reckon the two of you would hit it off. He's reliable and has his heart in the right place. For a young stripling, he's been through plenty. It's not so long since his parents were killed in Skalitz. He was supposed to become a blacksmith, and instead, he's roaming the world, risking his neck at every turn.
Wait, a blacksmith, you say? From Skalitz?
Aye, that's right. Did you know anyone there?
I knew of someone. A blacksmith by the name of Martin.
My daughter knew him most, and that is why Samuel is in this world. For our
Sag jetzt nicht, der ist unser Bruder. Just like that. Bam.
numerous sins.
Maybe he was my father, but he certainly didn't act like one. Ma raised me on her own.
And that was all for the best.
Why? He should have taken care of me, but instead he fathered another bastard.
Don't make hasty judgments. As far as I know, Martin didn't have any other children. At least, none of his own. He took in Henry, and raised him as his own, on the orders of the Lord of Skalitz, Sir Radzik Kobila, Henry's real father.
I don't care if he took care of 20 other Mamsas.
That boy's blood father denied him, just like yours did to you.
A person can't choose their parents. And Henry only found out about it recently.
Enough. I'd rather have a drink. Will you have one too, Zayde?
For that, there will be more suitable times.
Good health.
L'chaim.
Dear friends and allies, in these troublesome times, you all know why we're here. The question remains, what to do next? Sigismund is facing troubles in Hungary, and here too, he is up against resistance. He's a capable strategist, but a poor diplomat. Mark my words. If we wait him out until winter, he will leave of his own accord.
By winter, he'll have torched all our fortresses and carried off everything that we possess.
Are we seriously gonna wait and cower in a corner? Or are we gonna drive them out in shame? A few well-planned raids and we could have him in our fists!
At what price? Have you got men to spare? Has any of you got men and money to spare?
Ja.
We don't have men out there.
Yes, we do.
We do not.
Jobst is right. That whole sun won't fall easily.
Only we can't wait.
Are we to get ourselves killed?
Or end with nothing?
I'm not going to die.
Friends, we'll get nowhere like this. Let's adjourn ourselves and try to think it through.
Well, that went just as expected. Good health. And to yours. Could it have gone any other way when there's so many of us here? I would have expected a bit more sense from Jobst, of all people. He made an amateur's mistake. But it's hard to be angry with him when he's trying to ingratiate himself with everyone. By the way, I'm John of Liechtenstein. And you must be Godwin, the son of... That's not a thing I've ever boasted of. How do you know that? I have my sources. From what I've heard about you, I'd judge you could be quite useful to me at today's gathering. Is that so? Indeed. And that's why I'd like to ask something of you. Mm-hmm. It depends what it's all about. A little delicate diplomacy. I expect we can agree that Jobst's plan has certain... shortcomings? That's a weak word. And the way it stands at the moment, he'll never get the support of the Council. But I have an idea how to change that. Well, I'm curious how you hope to shut Zizka up and satisfy the ones who want peace. We'll sit and wait quietly until Sigismund withdraws of his own volition, as Jobst proposes, but we'll be waiting in the military camp of our huge new army. If Sigismund decides to mount an attack on the camp, it'd be a massacre. Ah, but it won't. Sigismund's army is demoralized and weakened. And besides, he's running out of resources. He's able to tackle fortresses that aren't able to defend themselves, but he won't engage an equal force on the battlefield. But he can't retreat either. That would be a disgrace. And that's exactly why we'll wait until he's called back to Hungary by events there. For the plan to work, we need allies, their money and their determination. We've already set the ground for it. We just need negotiators who will push the right people in the right direction. Are you saying you set everything in motion even before Jobst? More like in parallel, but without his knowledge. If we find support and make it look like the whole thing was his idea, we'll all win.
Aber warum willst du ihn gewinnen lassen? Und warum nicht für dich die Lorbeeren einsammeln?
Why are you doing all this anyway? Because I want to put a stop to the senseless deaths. And also because I'm happier with Wenceslas on the Bohemian throne. You've got an interesting way of approaching things. You're certainly not the first to tell me that. I take it as a compliment. I'll help you. What exactly should I do? I'll give you 3 names. Botchek of Kunstadt, Hamann Alder, and Anna of Waldstein. If you can get those 3 on our side, we've won the day. Meanwhile, I'll take care of Jobst. Why me, of all people? Because you've got a head on your shoulders.
You know how to talk, and you're not just out for your own good. You and your friend Henry are similar in that respect. That's why I know I can count on you both. There aren't many like you two left.
What if it doesn't work?
I refuse to even consider that outcome. Because it would mean slow, but certain defeat for all of us.
Tell me a bit more about those people, so I know who I'm dealing with.
Certainly. Who do you want to start with?
Botchek of Kunststadt. I know the name, but I can't quite place him.
That's just the thing. He's got massive estates, great influence, but he holds back. He doesn't play the big game, because he doesn't like to take risks. He always goes for the sure thing. But once he's made his mind up, not even a pair of oxen will hold him back.
Alder the Alderman. Wasn't he a Kuttenberg councillor?
He still is. The only one who retained his position after the city was taken. Only he's here, instead of cozying up with Sigismund in Kuttenberg. So his days in the council are numbered. But he'll continue to have a strong influence on the guilds and the rich burghers. And that's why we need him.
Macht Sinn.
Anna of Waldstein. The widow of that rich mine owner. What was his name?
Wenzel Bartosz. And I'm not surprised you forgot.
I was quite surprised to see her here. Assemblies like this are more of a...
A male affair? So far, Godwins, so far. Anna is holding back and behaving like an exemplary young widow. But don't trust appearances. She's got claws, she knows how to do her sums, and she certainly has no love lost for Sigismund.
And what use can she be to us? Apart from her late husband's money, of course.
She's as sharp as they come when it comes to trade. And she knows a thing or two about diplomacy. There are wicked tongues that claim Bartosz acquired most of his wealth thanks to her. And that it was thanks to her that he died, too.
I'll get on it then. Wish me luck.
I wish us both luck. Before the day is over, the die will be cast.
Success to our plans. Sir, I don't believe I've had the honor.
Nor I, until now. I am Sir Conrad, Lord of Wächter. And you are the heir to the Lord of Rabosh, are you not?
Used to be. My father somewhat disowned me some time ago.
And I used to be the Royal Mint Master, until the King decided to replace me.
Are you going to support the Margrave's proposal?
I haven't quite decided yet. It's true that displeasure against the King is noticeably growing in Kuttenberg, but if our rebellion were to come face to face with Sigismund's army, I'd be risking my future, if not my life.
Do you think you might get your position as Mint Master back again?
I doubt it. Half the town hates Vavak, but no one would even think of saying a word against him. And he knows that his security stands and falls with his function, so he clings to it tooth and nail.
We've got quite a bit in common, wouldn't you say?
More than you think. If my memory doesn't deceive me, you serve as a parish priest. So I recollect, at least, from my recent discussions with Martin.
Served. That's in the past.
Even so. Before King Wenceslas appointed me his mint master, I was a priest. I was even being groomed to become a bishop.
And now look at us. We have cast off our robes and merrily hatched plots against Sigismund.
There's no point in waiting for divine intervention. On the contrary, the current state of affairs demands quite a secular approach.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
Interessant. Oh. Sind jetzt die ganzen Dinger hier so markiert wegen Goodwin, weil wir gerade mit denen spielen? Ja, okay, dann gehe ich das jetzt nicht alles durch.
Everything all right? You look a bit out of sorts.
I can't wait for it to end so we can get out of here.
Would you tell me something about your community? I haven't found out much so far.
What can I tell you? It was never exactly glorious. And now especially, everyone is quaking that what is still left to us will be taken away.
Surely it won't be that bad.
There are many fools who would rather take out their gall on us and start to fight among themselves. In times of uncertainty, it is always the sons of Israel who are the first to be stricken.
I reckon you'd have to be pretty brave to come and mingle with the Kuttenberg lords.
Or pretty pissed off.
Or that.
We will leave as soon as we can. Anyway, all of these worthy gentlemen will be relieved when we are out of sight.
God be with you, noble lady. There's something I'd like to ask of you.
God be with you. What would that be?
Your diplomatic support. And your money.
No beating around the bush, eh? I like that. But what do you want my money for?
Margrave Yob's plan has some gaps, milady. We need to gather enough resources to...
To muster an army that Margrave can't afford on his own?
Christ. Be praised. You're astute.
I should say so. All sorts of people have their eyes on my money, and divining their intentions is a necessity. Although, between the two of us, it isn't hard to figure out what Liechtenstein is after.
Hit the nail on the head again, Mom. You're well informed.
I am rarely mistaken.
I'd say you have a better nose for people than most of this crowd.
Not only for people, but also for good food and wine. And beneficial deals.
Then you're in the right place. This occasion provides all of those things.
The wine here is average. The cooks lack imagination. And I have yet to hear any interesting offers. So, to the point. What is it that Liechtenstein wants from me?
Nothing more than support and resources for an army to parley more effectively with Sigismund.
Nothing more? I'd say that's plenty. And why ask me for help? Why should I, of all people, take the risk?
It's not only your money we're interested in. You're well able to negotiate and trade. And if you were to take part in our plan...
Then I'd be helpful to you on two fronts. If you want me to support you, you must give me a good reason. Perhaps a favor in return.
Do you have something in particular in mind?
Well, one of the guests here has something that shouldn't get into the wrong hands.
Who's that?
Harman Alder. Now, if you were to switch these papers for the ones he brought with him, I would support your proposal.
Have you fallen out with the Town Councillor?
No. Alder is innocent in the matter. My relatives from the House of Bartosz are behind it all. They're disappointed that I dared outlive my husband, and the fact that I'm handling his estates makes their hair stand on end.
And these papers I'm supposed to switch, what do they concern?
My relatives somehow dug up some trade contracts between myself and certain undesirable parties.
You were dealing with the enemy.
They were not the enemy at the time. My conscience is clear, but I'll rest easier when those papers are in my hands.
And the papers I'm supposed to plant on Alder?
Just insignificant documents. If the incriminating ones disappeared without a trace, it would arouse suspicion.
All right, I'll help you. Or at least I'll give it a try.
Alder will surely have the papers in his saddlebags, which he left in the shed on the outer courtyard. Bring them to me, and put these there instead. But watch yourself. Odorim's groom has eyes everywhere.
Ich wollte gerade fragen, warum lässt man wie heißt das? Unbeaufsichtigt? Dokumente in einer Satteltasche